Every day in America, many 15 and 16-year-olds get a license and jump behind the wheel of a car by themselves for the first time, causing our roadways to become more and more crowded. More people on the road causes more accidents, some that can be avoided, but some that can if people become safer drivers by simply focusing on the road instead of the world around them. Cars were originally an innovation to decrease travel time between point A and point B. However, people seem to have forgotten this and use their car as a mobile office to get work done or something that can be done for fun on a lazy afternoon. When transportation takes the back burner while driving, focus on the road is lost and avoidable errors happen, sometimes causing a loss of life. According to the National Highway Transportation Safety Association, some 2.31 million people are injured on American roadways in 2013. Some of these tragedies are unavoidable, such as tire blowing out or mechanical failure that takes all control out of the driver's hands. Even though most collisions are commonly called accidents, they rarely happen unintentionally or without cause. Most accidents occur due to driver carelessness or error. The most common causes are distracted driving, including drunk, texting, or sleeping driving not only too fast but also too slow, and blatantly disregarding road signs and signals. Anti-drunk driving campaigns happen all the time, and it's an issue that is obvious and so preventable, yet every year it kills so many. In 2013, 31% of all driving deaths occurred because somebody was driving with a blood alcohol level over 0.08. Driving when under the influence is dangerous because alcohol is absorbed by the body. It slows down most of your body systems, including your nervous system. The nervous system slowing down causes reaction times to slow down. So even if you're actually paying attention to the road, you will not be able to react, causing a traffic disturbance. Tests have also proven that when intoxicated, you tend to follow the car in front of you more closely than when sober. Texting or other forms of cell phone use have also proven to be dangerous while driving. In fact, many states have outlawed phone use while driving. It has a different effect on the driver. Unlike being drunk, using a phone while operating a car takes your attention off the road, and when your focus is not on the road, accidents happen. While drunk driving is widely publicized, there have been studies that suggest that texting while driving is actually more imperative than drunk driving. The University of Utah performed a study that concluded that brake reaction time is 8.4% slower when using a phone than it is when sober. It is also slower than when driving with a BAC over the legal limit. Another form of distracted driving is sleepy driving, which the AAA Traffic Safety Foundation says factors into 21% of all fatal crashes. When you fall asleep at the wheel, your reaction times are not just slowed, but they are non-existent and completely unresponsive to the situation. Oftentimes, people who fall asleep while driving wake up too late in time to react and just in time to feel the impact. Whether it's alcohol, cell phones, or sleep that take your mind off the task when operating a car, the results will end up being the same. The speed you travel while behind the wheel also has an effect on your safety, the safety of your passengers and others on the road. We all know that speeding can be dangerous and that every road has a speed limit that's there for a reason, but many roads also have a minimum speed limit. At a certain point, driving over the speed limit is considered reckless driving because you are going too fast to be able to respond to road hazards that may pop up. Driving too slow may seem like an innocent offense when on the road, but is actually shown to be very hazardous, especially when this happens on high-speed roads, such as interstates or rural roads. When somebody drives slow on the interstate, it causes the person behind them to slow down, and this domino effect causes standstill traffic and people having to go from 70 miles an hour down to 30 or less very quickly. Slower drivers affect the drivers around them by causing frustration and road rage, eventually leading to reckless driving. According to an MIT study, only 7 states do not have a law requiring slower drivers to refrain from the left lane, as slow drivers in the left lane have proven to cause traffic backups and dangerous conditions when other drivers are just trying to simply go the speed limit, and there's no other option to drive recklessly around them. The same effect can be seen on rural 2-lane roads, but with an even smaller margin of error. On rural 2-lane roads, there are only 1 lane available to pass a car in front of you, and usually there will be another car coming at you. When put in a situation when you are in a hurry and the person in front of you is driving 5 miles under the speed limit, there is a tendency to make rash decisions and pass when it is unwise or unsafe. Our final major avoidable driving error that stacks up to cause so many wrecks every year is the simple disobedience of traffic signs and signals, including stop signs, yield signs, stoplights, right-of-way indicators. These are infractions that are usually done so intentionally because the driver is impatient or believes that they are more important than the other three people at a four-way stop. The Insurance Institute of Highway Safety provided information that says that 900 people die and another 2,000 are injured every year solely because of people running red lights. These numbers include vehicles colliding, but also pedestrians being hit. There are a few ways that can cause a change in how our roadways operate, including more strict penalties for infractions such as distracted driving, changes in driver's education, and a more rigorous and strict driving test to acquire a license. By increasing these distracted driving penalties, hopefully more people would think twice about doing any of these actions, but if they don't, they're sure to lose their license due to too many infractions. To do this, more police officers would need to be trained and focused on these issues, but in the long run, it would pay dividends to the safety of our roadways. As many of you know, the speed limits are enforced on roadways pretty strictly, but our roads would be safer if laws regarding slow drivers were enforced with the same enthusiasm. The next solution starts by fixing the problem before there is a problem. If more kids were taught how these avoidable driving errors are dangerous, then hopefully it would not get into the habit of doing them, as many older drivers have done. It is easier to reinforce the negatives of a trait than it is to break habits from people who believe that they are doing nothing wrong. And finally, more rigorous driving tests would be implemented. Then it would be regulated whether or not new drivers are capable of driving without making these mistakes. For these drivers tests to pay off, it would be important to make sure the new driver spends time on the interstate and is not afraid of high speeds that come with interstate travel. It is sad to look at the number of traffic accidents that can be avoided if focus was just applied on the road. Every single one of these driver's errors mentioned earlier can be solved by recognizing that operating a car is a big responsibility and should not be taken lightly. Moving from point A to point B is your main focus while driving. Fewer mistakes made on American roads will make the roads safer and fewer lives to be lost.